And we are back. We
There's
are
a little
officially
open.
back. We have a little open now. Welcome back to the Blue Review, a special Wednesday edition. Dodgers
I
lose
want
in
to watch it again on
extras.
YouTube.
I know.
Right?
We're gonna have to replay that one
We'll
for
run
the
it back.
people. We're gonna have to give that to them maybe towards the end because that was it's good. It feels good to just be back with the little intro
On the way
video,
out, that happened.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
when you close out, Parker. Close out with the close now.
I'll send us out with the
open / close.
Yeah. Hey, but it's the beginning of May. It's a new month, the first month of baseball. Plus, the Soul Series has ended, and the Dodgers are sitting at 19-13. They lose a tough one. They lose the B delay game. It's the talk of the MLB last night is our beekeeper. We'll get into all that, but before we do, I'm just gonna kind of get us started with our lovely friends at LAX International Airport, Los Angeles International Airport. They're changing the traffic, just changing our arriving daily. Good Lord. Reducing traffic, saving us time, and transforming the travel experience. I sound like Greg doing the read for which one was it?
Don't try and
ZipRecruiter.
it was ZipRecruiter, but don't try and throw me under the bus for that. You screwed that read up. Take full control of that. You know what you did.
I know, and I do this one every damn day too. If you want to learn more, go to flylax.com/transforminglAX. Marcus, the beekeeper, saves the day. The Dodgers end up losing, but let's just get right into it. The gentleman who saved the bees and saved the day. Let's just do it. It was such a great time. It was so cool to watch.
I mean, look, hats off to him. He prevented the day from being a buzzkill, although the Dodgers did get stung late in the game. But otherwise, the whole pregame was, as sweet as honey. I'm running out of bee puns.
Behave.
Thanks. It's just one of those weird, goofy things, right? It's funny because my dad texted me last night. He said, he's like, "Hey, aren't the Dodgers supposed to be on?" I was like, "They're in a B delay." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" Like I sent him a tweet, and he's like, "Wow." So, it's just weirdness. I will also say, like, I have a good friend who lives in the Phoenix area, and he says that this is fairly common this time of year. Maybe not at a Diamondbacks game specifically, but he used to work at the airport. He's worked for the city, and that they get a lot of calls this time of year of bees nests, gathering in places, especially at the airport. Apparently, and I'm no scientist on this, but apparently they like the smell or attracted to the smell of jet fuel. And so they tend to gather around like airport gates and that sort of thing. So, I don't know what you do with that, but that's just the thing I learned last night.
Was there jet fuel at the Diamondbacks?
I don't know.
Center? Was it called Chase Field?
Chase Field. Yeah, I have no idea.
Either way, it was still pretty cool to see that guy. He got there pretty quickly. Overall, it did take a couple hours, but the fact of the matter was he went up there, he got into this thing, he just sprayed a little bit, it all dropped down. It was just really fun to watch. He was hyping up the crowd, getting everyone excited. It was pretty cool, and I love the fact that they let him throw out the first pitch. I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool. The D-backs. Matt Hilton is his name, and the reason he was a couple hours late is the gentleman was at his son's T-ball game, last game of the season. So he took the time to leave his son's game and save the day over here in Arizona. And I mean, he was just electric, like you said, Greg. They let him throw out the first pitch. He threw off the bee protective hat, and he was just really cool. I think he was waving to the crowd, pumping them up. And maybe that's what led the D-backs to get the win, the power of the beekeeper.
Wow. Look at you. Is this going to be like the goose with the Padres?
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
Actually, last night was a really weird. I don't know if you guys were looking around the league. There must have been some sort of animal control curse. The Angels had a cat run loose. I think there was another goose situation, but not as crazy as the Padres one. There was just animals everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the Angels had a little bit more of a problem with Mike Trout. That was just, it's so sad. Like as a baseball fan, I think you can understand this too, Marcus. As a baseball fan, you want to see Mike Trout do well. He was the start of his career was incredible. He very well could have been the best player of all time, and injuries just fully caught up to him. And he just has not been the same guy for the last, I think, 4 years. Ever since the pandemic season, he just hasn't been the same dude and just can't stay healthy. And he didn't make it to May this time. It's just sad. I wish that he was hitting so well too. I think he had 10 I was talking to Travis actually. He had 10 home runs and 14 RBIs.
Yeah.
because nobody can get on base.
Nobody's on base, right?
Right. That's awful. For a full month, you go 10 home runs and 14 RBIs. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, but it does. You're right. It sucks that he's not going to be available for however long, right? They're not even saying how long. They're just I think the report I heard was that he's expected back this season, but usually when they say that, that means you're going to be out for a really, really long time. And, depending on how long it is and depending on where the Angels are, when he's getting ready to come back, we may or may not see him again this year, which is pretty awful.
Yeah. I know this is a Dodger thing, but can you even move Mike Trout? Is it even possible to move him? He has another, I think, including this year, 7 years at $37 million per year till 2030.
Somebody will take that on. For a guy like Trout, especially if you are a contender. I mean, look, the Dodgers have done stuff like that, right? Where they will bring in big, high-priced guys that they get them over the hump. In the past, maybe not these Yankees. In the past, that's a total Steinbrenner move. Right?
Oh yeah.
Steinbrenner would absolutely do that. Like, this incarnation of the Yankees, probably not. But I think if you said Mike Trout is on the market, somebody would give you half their farm system to bring him in.
Well, I saw a report the other day with an exec who said Trout's name came up, and he said at this point, best case scenario for the Angels is no prime prospects. You might be getting half the system still, but I mean, I don't know the name. That was an anonymous exec, but still, that's just hearing that. Oh, that's disheartening. And I mean, welcome to the Red Review, by the way.
But that was a Bill Shaken article, and that was before he said that he wasn't going to be. That was before he got injured.
Exactly.
So now that he's injured, you're still not getting a process. You're going to have to take all of the money, or the Angels are going to have to eat all of that money to even try and move him to get prospect. It's crazy. But we can move on from Mike Trout and move back into Landon.
I'll go back to crying myself to sleep. Dodgers game.
You said that you were a Dodger fan yesterday. You got to hold to it now.
You're right. So 3-4 is the tally. Landon Knack looked good again. There were some shaky moments there, but he got out of them, and then the bullpen did what the bullpen did. So let's start there, Greg, because there were some things you wanted to talk about with the bullpen, Daniel Hudson specifically, and then there's a lot more we can kind of get into there. Just what did you see? And
you want to go Landon Knack or bullpen?
We know Landon Knack did good. I know that was a double-headed question there, but the bullpen, they ended up blowing it, and I want you to kind of just attack that.
Yeah, so with Daniel Hudson, we've been talking about it basically all year, is that he was a minor league invitee, and he only wanted to play for the Dodgers. When it comes to Daniel Hudson, I just assume that they're going to go with him till the wheels fall off. I would if every time he goes out and has a good outing like he did on Monday, cool, great, that's fantastic. And when he has a bad one, you're like, okay, I mean, I kind of get it. So sooner or later, they're just going to stop using him. So once he goes, as long as he keeps going out there, he's going to be, they trust him until they don't, and he won't be with the Dodgers anymore. If he's, again, over and over again, if he is here in July, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's about right. And last night it was not a clean outing. Obviously, he gives up the tying run. They end up going to extra innings. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to read into it other than it just was a tough outing. And I'm with you, Greg. They're going to throw him until they can't throw him no more. And so last night just was not one that was great. The offense sort of sputtered, and but they scored their 2 runs on a wild pitch and a balk. I mean,
almost won.
And almost won, right? Almost won despite that. So it was just one of those nights where nothing really came together. The offense couldn't get the big hit really when they needed to. The bullpen, the pitching staff was good but not great. They had those hiccups obviously late. So it's hard. This is a game that's sort of hard to really dive into because there was nothing glaring that came out of it. Landon Knack was good. Hudson was, not. Then Nabil Crismatt, he ends up giving up the walk-off home run at the end. I said before the show, I was surprised that they brought him back out for the 10th after he got through the 9th inning. But, I guess they wanted to give Evan Phillips the night off and very nearly got away with it,
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. We were kind of talking before, but Evan Phillips closed out the game on Monday with a 4-run lead when he was not a save situation, and that Chris Matt was there with him in the bullpen, getting ready to go in that game. I've never understood, if you have a closer, why you bring him in with anything more than a 3-run lead or in a tie game. When it comes to closers, let them do their jobs. If you're going to make him your closer, let him come in to get a save situation. I don't usually want to see him too often when I can get certain spots when he comes in the bottom of the 8th and, and for things like that. But for some reason, managers always do this, and I don't get it. There was no reason to bring Evan Phillips into that game on Monday and then not have him available on Tuesday.
Well, and especially because he had pitched recently, right? Like you see it sometimes when a guy, your closer hasn't thrown for several days in a row.
Sure.
It's like, well, we just need to get him. That wasn't the case. I mean, he hadn't had that much time off. So, it was kind of a weird decision there.
Yeah, I don't get it. But, I mean, Chris Matt's going to do what Chris Matt does. He's going to be up and down. They're going to DFA him, bring him back to the minor leagues, and they're going to bring up Dinelson Lamet, and then he's going to pitch for a couple innings, and they're going to drop him down. They're just taking that roster spot and just fluctuating it constantly. So, I mean, that's another one of those guys you're just trying to get innings out of him. You're just trying to let him get out of it, save your bullpen in certain situations.
So, Marcus, you mentioned something that just kind of stood out real quick, and I kind of want to ask about it. You said, weird decision. So if you're looking back since 2021, the Dodgers are 18-31 in extras, 0-3 this season so far. Where does that lie in terms of fault? Is there mismanagement in terms of late game decisions? Is it just somewhat luck? I kind of want your thoughts on that.
I would say some of it's case by case. I think a lot of it though is just sort of failure to execute in extra innings. I mean, especially now that you get the free runner, right? The guy on second base to start. Yeah, the ghost. People want to say ghost runner, but I'm like, ghost runner is like when you played wiffle ball and you didn't have enough players. So there's a ghost runner on second base, right? So I think some of it's just like failure to execute in key situations, whether it's offensively or pitching wise. I think that was a little bit last night too, where they did get one run out of it. They had a chance to maybe get a little bit more and just weren't able to get it done. And then obviously the walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th is the thing that sealed it. So, I think, the decision to bring Chris Matt back out was a little bit questionable to me, but he did have a 1-run lead, and then he, gives up the bomb to Walker, who I can't remember who it's. I saw a couple of tweets that apparently Christian Walker is the new Paul Goldschmidt in Arizona.
Oh yeah,
he's the guy who's he's the designated Dodger killer now. that Goldschmidt's not there in the desert anymore. So I guess it was sort of fitting.
I mean, I swear it seems like if Christian Walker gets 20 home runs in the season, I think he had 30 last year. It's all against the Dodgers. When he plays the Dodgers, he just hits bombs over and over and over again. I don't know why it is. There's always that one guy, and he's Paul Goldschmidt. It's very silly how that all works out.
Yeah, 3 for 5 with 2 home runs last night. Just absolutely torched us.
And the first one was blasted, by the way.
Exactly.
The one off Knack was absolutely blasted.
I mean, the reaction from that was so good.
Let me see. Let me look up Christian Walker's career home run totals.
For the Dodgers, about 75.
Well, first off, he has 128, which he's been in the league, I guess, longer than I realized. But 20 of those 128 are against the Dodgers.
Yeah. Wow.
He feels like 200. So
it does. He's got, that is the most, I think. It is the most against any one team. No, I take that back. No, he's got 24 against the Rockies. So he's
everybody gets the Rockies. Yeah. You can throw that out. You can throw that out. Anything that gets done in Colorado doesn't actually count.
So Greg, I had a question for you because the matchup was supposed to be Landon Knack, Jordan Montgomery. Because of the B delay, Jordan Montgomery, one of the funniest injury updates or out updates, it just said scratched B delay. Do you think that may have played a part in just the offense, kind of the struggles of the offense in terms of all that preparation they probably put into for Montgomery, and then they end up having to face one, a dude who was making his debut with the Diamondbacks, and then two, just like a bullpen game. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Was that like a
Yeah.
factor?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's something that actually I'll give credit to Steve Mason. He found out this whole thing out. Apparently, they have this pitcher system that they use that you can plug into any certain guy that you want. So they can every 4 games be like, I want to see what Jordan Montgomery throws, and they will throw his pitch. It's not arm angles and things like that, but how the movement, how the velocity and all that gets thrown to them. So that's something that they do. And yes, you prepare for a guy. It happens in almost any sport. You prepare for. They talk about it with when within NBA. If LeBron and AD are out, the other team prepared for those guys, and then you have a whole different offense. This is the same kind of thing. I mean, they still should get hits, but yeah, when you're not expecting a certain thing, you don't play as well. But I don't think they still should do just fine in those situations. It unfortunately didn't work out.
You would think this might just be me being sort of a fatalistic fan at times. Whenever I see that the Dodgers are facing a guy who's either like making his debut, or hasn't been around her, like I just feel like they're just not going to hit today, right? Like I just like they're just not like if they're like, hey, this is his first ever major league start. I'm like, well, they may scratch out a run like that. It just always feels like that when they're facing these kind of guys.
Yeah,
totally. And 10 strikeouts incoming.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, and speaking of the offense, I see Steve Mason in the chat bringing up a good point. He's like, they can't complain too much, but there are a lot of Dodgers swinging for the fences for a lot of those at-bats. Shohei specifically, there was another situation where when they did score on that, wild pitch, there was still runners on second and third in the top of the fifth, had a full count and just, swung out of his shoes, essentially. It's not just Ohtani, though. We're seeing that a lot. And Marcus, do you think that's, as big of an issue as, some people are making out to be? Or again, is this just, hey, they're figuring it out?
It's a thing that frustrates me at times with this team. It especially has frustrated me in the postseason where, it's one thing if you're just trying to lift and separate against, the Rockies' fourth starter. It's just like that's the sort of thing that works. When you get to the playoffs and everybody is throwing quality pitchers at you and it gets a little bit harder, then it gets a little bit frustrating. So I think it is a thing that this team falls into at times because they've got a lot of power up and down the lineup. And I think it sometimes happens. And I think some of it's human nature. You come to the plate in a big situation, you got guys on base, you're maybe down a run or it's tied, and you want that big knock to try and turn things around. So I think some of it is just sort of remembering to stay within yourself in these situations. And I know it's a thing that Ohtani said Dave Roberts talked to him about early in the season, that it was like he was expanding his strike zone a lot, especially with the bases loaded or with guys on base. And when he sort of recognized that and decided, okay, let me get back to what is my normal strike zone, we saw Ohtani really take off and get some of those big hits. So I guess it's on the level of concern, it is mild. It is not overwhelming. But I hope this doesn't rear its ugly head when we get to October.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. There is some concern. You're right. Like it is the whole thing. Oh, it's early and their guys are figuring it out. Yes, that is all very much true. But yeah, there's some concern because we have seen it so often, like Marcus is saying, in the playoffs and even just in general. The Dodgers with runners in scoring position has been a problem for seems like every year for the last 10 years. So it's another situation that we're looking at. It is very much about getting within yourself and seeing and understanding the strike zone, which they are very, very good at. Look at the other day when they had absolutely no strikeouts. Yeah. So it can be done. It just, you get that little extra adrenaline of wanting to get that big hit. And it's understandable. Hopefully it doesn't happen later on down the line, like Mark is saying.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard to read Ohtani, but even in those situations, you can still tell that there's a little bit, he's tensed up a little bit. In that Dodgers uniform, I think it's a little different too. The pressure you can see is a bit more noticeable.
You're expected to get hits with all those guys on base. You're expected now.
Yeah. But on a positive note, Freddie, he extends his hitting streak to 10. Some injury updates, I guess you can call them. Robert said Dustin May is going to be thrown off a mound in about a week to 10
Mm.
days.
Ooh,
I think he
good.
was at Chase Field. So he's around the team and he's going to be pitching off a mound soon. You got
Great.
Kershaw, who's going to start up bullpen sessions soon. And
Good.
then who was it? It was
Walker
Bobby
Bueller.
Miller. Oh yeah, Walker's about one rehab assignment away. I mean, I know they keep saying that, but it's still good news. It's good news because you want to see him just honestly have a chance, get out there with some major league experience. We'll see what happens. Even if it ends up not going well, we at least can say that we saw it, you know?
So Walker Bueller had pitched his 6th rehab assignment yesterday. He went I think he went like 5 or 6 and had only gave up 1 run, had a couple Ks, maybe 7 Ks and no walks, something along those lines. I don't know the exact line, but that's a good outing. But at the end of the day, if he has 10 rehab assignments, I don't care. It's just whenever he's ready to come up, that's the time to come up. But it seems like after this specific outing, he should be getting close and ready.
Yeah, it seems like he's getting close. And again, I mean, we're all antsy to see him back with the big club, but they don't have to rush him. You know, they have enough pitching right now. They're what, 19 and 14. They're 4 games up on the Giants. They aren't necessarily, all hands on deck right now. So if it takes a couple more rehab starts, then it takes a couple more rehab starts. I think the impatience is more on the fans' point because we just want to see Walker Bueller back, but the Dodgers don't have to be impatient for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, 19-13, 4 games ahead, and help may still be on the way slowly but surely. That's super encouraging. So, guys, Greg, as always, I'll kind of send it over to you if you got anything to go. But of course, Travis and Sliwa is up next. They're going to be reacting to the game. They're going to be talking about Trout, just like we did earlier. So some more red review, but on Travis and Sliwa. But of course, we're going to be back tomorrow. And Greg, I'll kind of let you take it away from here, and then I'll hit that outro.
Oh, I like it. There you go, Parker, putting a little bit of extra effort in here. I like it. But yeah, no, thank you guys as always for being here. We're going to be here every day, 9:30 to 9:55, as often as we possibly can, Monday through Friday. And yeah, make sure to stay right here because Travis and Sliwa are going to be talking about this game. They'll still be talking about LeBron. I know Dad Meow loves talking about LeBron as much as humanly possible. So there's going to be a lot of that still going on Travis and Sliwa, but stay right here. It's all going to come up next. And thanks for being here. For Marcus Grant and for Parker Bell, Greg Bergman. See you next time.